We are live. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Knicks Recap Podcast. I'm your host, Troy, and you could be anywhere in the world this afternoon, but you chose to spend your time with me, and I truly appreciate that because we have a lot of Knicks content to cover today. Shout out to the chat gang. I see you guys there. I see you guys active and live. I appreciate you. But today, you guys see the thumbnail. You already know where I'm going with this. The main topic we were supposed to talk about today was Dejounte Murray. And I promise you, throughout today's live, we're going to get to that. But you know how the news is. Sometimes anything can happen. And breaking news is breaking news. And today, that's exactly what we're going to start off with. We have breaking news. According to Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports, they are stating that potentially Mitchell Robinson could be traded by the Knicks. Before I break down what this means for New York and give you my legit first and honest reaction to it, let's break down the following reports. Shout out to Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports for giving us the following information. According to him, he states the Knicks have contacted opposing teams about trading Mitchell Robinson. That's again per Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. Here's the exact quote. Hartenstein at this moment is now generally expected to return to New York as the Knicks have contacted opposing teams about moving Mitchell Robinson. There appears to be a wide range of starting caliber big men available for trade. So again, that's coming from Jake Fisher. Bombshell. Breaking news here, folks. We're talking about a potential trade where the Knicks send off Mitchell Robinson. But I know the question you're going to ask because as soon as I read this report, it's in my head too. Where is he going? Where are we going to trade him to? Where, oh, where should Mitchell Robinson head to? Well, thankfully, Ian Bagley, you know our guy, our SNY NBA insider, he went on this immediately. He jumped on the topic and he gave us the following information. Shout out to Bagley for giving us the following. According to him, the Lakers, Grizzlies, and Pelicans are among the teams closely monitoring the center position this offseason. Yahoo Sports earlier reported that the Knicks were gauging the market for Robinson. Bagley continues here by stating, if the Knicks re-sign Hartenstein and keep Robinson, they will have roughly $30 million committed to the center position. Let me give that to you again one more time in case we didn't hear it around the world. If they sign both, they have both Robinson and Hartenstein, they will be committing $30 million to the center position. I understand how important that position is for the Knicks. Don't get me wrong, but $30 million for two guys to play center? No. That is not the way to go about it. I said it in my last video I did about Hartenstein. Hartenstein, if you give him the money, if you sign him, which it looks like the Knicks are going to do, 4 years, $72.5 million, what is the use for a center that used to be your starting center that has a history of injuries? What is the purpose of having him on your team? He's going to be your backup? You're going to have an injury-prone player being your backup? Of course not. That's why the Knicks are exploring trade situations. They need to do that because as of right now, that's the main goal, to make the Knicks better. And you could say, if Robinson is healthy, sure, he's a game changer for the Knicks on defense. Offense, he's limited. We have to be honest with that. When it comes to other things, besides his offense, the defense is there when healthy, folks. But when he's not healthy, what is he giving you? What is he doing for you? That's what we have to talk about. Let's continue with the Bagley report here. He continues by stating, if the Knicks re-sign Hartenstein and keep Robinson again, they will roughly have $30 million committed to that center position. That may seem like a questionable use of resources, but it is important to note that center depth has been one of the Knicks' strengths. Head coach Tom Thibodeau often referenced the play of both Hartenstein and Robinson as the key to the club's success over the past 2 seasons. Now, listen, I understand that. And here's one thing I really want to note, because Bagley also mentioned this, so shout out to him. He also mentions that I don't get the sense that the Knicks are fully committed to moving Robinson at the moment. But his contract, 2 years remaining on a descending 4-year, $60 million, is helpful in salary matching type of situations in terms of trades. And like we said at the top here, Lakers, Grizzlies, and Pelicans. Those are the teams. If you wanted to know who the teams that the Knicks are contacting, who the Knicks are looking to trade Robinson to, it's the teams that likely need a center the most. You might think of the Lakers, AD, all these other players. We already know that AD likes to play power forward. So if he went over there to the Lakers, there's a connection there. Because honestly, if you look around the league and you look around potential matches there, if you guys remember, when Robinson was coming into the league, he was working out with one center. You know who that was? Anthony Davis. So there is a connection there. If he does get traded to the Lakers do have a need. And here's my reaction to this entire thing. Robinson being traded shows you exactly where the Knicks are headed right now. If you didn't think that the Knicks were committed to win now, if you thought that they didn't see the season we just had, Jalen Brunson's emergence to a superstar, when healthy, this Knicks team probably giving Boston a run for its money, that makes you change your approach. It's going to make you change what you thought you were supposed to do. Maybe Robinson and Ihart were supposed to be the duo, the tandem going forward for the next few seasons. But then Robinson went down again with another injury. And then you have Isaiah Hartenstein, who stepped up, showed out, and thrived. You're going to pay that man. You're going to see what he can do. He gives you offense as well, too, inside the paint. Mitchell Robinson, for everything he does well, he doesn't show you enough of it because he's not available. And I'm tired of this. Everybody, you might kill me in the chat, and I'll get to your comments. If you want to kill me, go ahead. But listen, honestly, do you want a backup that has an injury history like Mitchell Robinson? Because if you do, I question your thought and your judgment about making this team better. I thought better meant getting people that you could actually play. How do you know when Robinson's going to get that next injury? And I know some people in the comments have argued to me that if we trade Mitchell Robinson, if we put Mitchell Robinson off the bench, that he'll be actually better because he'll be healthier. He'll play less minutes. What does that mean in terms of health? He could play 10 minutes, injure his ankle, and then he's out for the season. What are we talking about in terms of he'll be healthier because he comes off the bench? That doesn't make sense. Right now is probably the best chance to trade Robinson because what he did last year during the beginning of the season, you can sell that to another team. Well, I know he was injured, but look at what he did when he was healthy. He was leading the league in terms of offensive rebounding. He is a monster on that end. He can block shots. And if you have an offense already set and you just need a defensive juggernaut, Mitch can give you that. That's what Leon Rose, this Knicks front office, that's what they're doing on the phone right now. They're having these exact conversations about Mitchell Robinson to all of these teams, the Grizzlies, the Lakers, all of these clubs, because they know they have a need for them. But also we have to think, if they're talking to the Lakers, if they're talking to the Grizzlies, if they're talking to the Pelicans, who are they targeting? Because I'm trying to think of the players on those teams that the Knicks could potentially get back in a Mitchell Robinson trade. Please, I'm not looking at the comments yet, but please, when I do, please don't say Ingram. Please don't mention Ingram in that chat. Please don't do it because Ingram for me would be a detriment to this team. There is no need for Ingram. I'm not even going to touch that. Maybe we'll get to it when we get to the live question at the end of the show. But for right now, with the Mitchell Robinson situation, let me tell you guys, I called it legitimately since the offseason started for the Knicks after our playoffs were ended. Once we were done against Indiana, I more or less stated, if the Knicks signed Hartenstein, they were going to have to make a decision on Mitchell Robinson. And now we know what that decision is. They're likely going to trade him. But as Ian Bagley stated, they're not looking to trade him just for anything. If they're going to move him, they're going to move him for something significant, something impactful, something that helps us get better. Because we already understand, even though he's limited because of the availability aspect for Mitchell Robinson, we know when he's playing for the Knicks, he has that chemistry already developed, and he is dominant in what he can do for the Knicks. So if we're going to get somebody back, they're going to have to be a better fit and do things better than Mitchell Robinson can. That means they're going to have an offensive game. That's just my opinion on the situation. But my reaction to this about the Knicks looking to trade Robinson, it had to be done. It has to be done. You cannot keep all of this roster together and say you're improving this team moving forward. You can't do it. If you want to improve this team, you have to make sacrifices and you have to re-sign certain players. OG, you re-sign him. If it takes $40 million, it takes $40 million. Ihart, you re-sign him because he got you all the way to that second seed. Then there's certain players you think about. Mitchell Robinson, question mark. Precious Achua, question mark. Alec Burks, question mark. Bogey, question mark. And with those question marks, what do you do with them? You try to figure out which one of them you can trade and what you can trade them for. Draft night is coming up. We are less than a week away, and the Knicks are going to make so many moves. And one of those moves, you have to now, even more so now, we have to admit to ourselves, one of those moves on draft night might be moving Mitchell Robinson and a couple of our picks right now in the draft to either move up or get that impactful player. But let's go to the chat. You guys are live. You guys are active. You guys are going nuts right now. Let me go to some of your comments, and then we'll come back to some Mitchell Robinson talk. And then we're going to go to the meat and potatoes of this video, why you guys came here, Dejounte Murray. But before we get to that, let's get to the chat, gang. You guys are live. Shout out to you. What's up, guys? Let's see. We got Everyday Halloween in here. Let's see. He says he's going home. Something about Mitchell Robinson. Britton says, shout out to me. Giving me the handshakes. Handshake to you, my brother. John says, I would trade Mitch. Mitch injuries are not from overuse. I agree. You see, I agree with John. Mitchell Robinson doesn't have to be overused to be injured. Honestly, I don't think he plays heavy minutes quite often under Tom Thibodeau. A lot of time it was because he was in foul trouble, but also some of the times it's because of the fact he can't stay out there long enough. Something happens, and his conditioning was never right throughout his entire career. He really just got it right this season. And then he went down with an injury. So I agree with John here. When you're talking about the fact with Mitchell Robinson, you're talking about his injury, his conditioning, the way he plays for the Knicks when he's out there. You have to factor that against how long you're going to have it available. And John seems to agree with me. He is not going to be available when you need him the most. That's what matters the most. Look what happens in the playoffs. And he had all that time to recover and still got re-injured. And I understand it's an injury. It takes a lot of time to recover the right way. I get it. But listen, how many times are we going to give him a break? How many times? We got to be honest with ourselves. Going back to the chat. Let's keep it going here. We got Dale that says facts. Appreciate you, my brother. Robert says, Troy, dude, I caught you live, bro. I appreciate you catching me live. I know I come out in the afternoon sometimes. I try to do that because it's a good time for me to record. My son's not here. I can yell. I can scream. I won't get eviction notices. I got about 2 already, but that's another story. No worries about that. I'm Guyanese. This is how we talk. I shout. You guys are, if Mitchell Robinson gets traded during this live, you're going to see what it feels like to have a Guyanese guy go so hype that he loses his voice. I promise you that. But moving on to the chat, let's keep it going. Shout out to you, Rob. I appreciate you catching me live. Big Jib says, yes, I hope we can keep most and trade Robinson is fine with me. But I agree. We need to re-sign OG and Hartenstein. Like I said, man, to start it, we have to. To start off the offseason, those 2 moves need to be done. Everybody's talking to me about Jalen Brunson, his extension. Listen, that's July 12th. July 12th, you got a ways to go. Right now, the priority is OG and iHeart. Talk to me about Jalen later. And even if Jalen doesn't sign that extension, he's still going to remain with the Knicks. It's not like he's leaving. So Jalen Brunson, that's not the number 1 priority for the Knicks right now. OG and iHeart, there you go. That's what it is. Let's keep it going here. Adam says, I love Mitch, but he's clumsy and injury prone. We'll miss his rebounding and rim protection, but iHeart is the priority at center. I mean, this guy sounds like he's a follower of the channel because this is exactly what I've been saying legitimately since iHeart started and Mitchell Robinson started to work his way back. And you could see it during the playoffs as well. I love Mitch. I don't want this to get lost in this entire thing that we're talking about. I love Mitchell Robinson. For me, he is one of the best Knicks centers that we've had in a very long time. I can admit that. I'm very happy to admit that, actually, because it's true. I'm not lying to anybody as I say that. Mitchell Robinson and his impact for this Knicks team defensively, it's hard to replicate that. Like a lot of you guys in the chat are mentioning, nobody can really replicate that. And even though iHeart is very good on defense, he's a degree lower than Mitchell Robinson is. And I can admit that. But I can also admit iHeart has a better offensive game. I can also admit iHeart has a better passing game. I can also admit iHeart has better chemistry with this Knicks team. I can admit those things. We have to be honest here, folks. Mitchell Robinson, at what point in time, he made sense for this team. And I understand homegrown talent, second round pick, developed him into what he is today. You know what the Knicks are very good at doing? They did it with RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley this season. Letting go. The Knicks need to let go. They need to understand when it's time. We've seen Mitchell Robinson. We've seen this story year after year after year after year. How many times do you need to see the same story before you understand that there's a problem? It's a problem. I love Mitch, but I love him enough, guys. Excuse me. I love him enough to understand when to let him go. And it's time for him to fly away. He did his thing in New York. He helped us out. We're going to miss the rebounding, the offensive rebounding, especially the block shots, the fear that he puts into defenders. He's a great fit under Tom Thibodeau. All those things are true. Gonna miss him. But we need to move on. We cannot commit $30 million to the center position. That is ridiculous. Ihart's just better. Better on offense, better passer, better chemistry with Jalen. That pick and roll. Does Jalen run it with Mitchell Robinson? While you guys think about that, I'm going to drink out of my red cup, which you guys have no idea what's in today, and I'm not going to tell you. Thought about it? Yeah, none. How many lobs does Jalen throw Mitchell Robinson? None. So what are we going to miss on offense? I don't care about what he could do. Everybody tells me about the things he does in practice, what he shows here, what he could do here. What does he do? What does he give me? What does he provide me? Besides defensively, there's really nothing else. Ihart gives me the rest of it. And that's why I commit to Ihart. That's why for me moving forward, he's my starting center. Mitchell Robinson, love him to death, but he's gone. I'm trading him immediately if I can move up in the draft for a player that I can replace him with, or if I can get a star player or an all-star player. Easily. There's not even a conversation for me. If that's on the table, if that's the availability, I'm doing it each and every day. But you guys let me know in the chat. Do you guys agree with me? Drop some hearts, drop some comments, and let me know. Do you want Robinson still part of this team? Or do you feel that Mitchell Robinson has already outlived his time with the Knicks? The Knicks should move on and they should trade him away. Let me know, because really, I do want to hear from all of you guys. Some of you guys don't really agree with me that often, and I do appreciate that, because disagreements cause more basketball talk, and I love me some basketball talk. Talking about basketball, though, talking about fits, talking about the reason that you guys are here right now for this live. He's on the thumbnail, and he's one of the main targets that the Knicks had for the trade deadline. You know who I'm talking about? Dejounte Murray. And according to reports, the Hawks could make Dejounte Murray available for a trade. My jaw was dropping when I read this report. Now, why, Troy? Why did that happen? Well, let's go back in time here. Let's rewind the clock. If you guys were watching my channel back in January, back in February, there was a theme. Dejounte Murray. If you want to ask me, in terms of all the players that could potentially be available, that I personally would want the Knicks to go after, obvious candidates, I should say. Excuse me. I'm so hyped I can't even speak right now. Obvious candidates would be Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, and Mikal Bridges. Those are the clear candidates for me. Those are the guys I want the Knicks to go after. But if I extended my list another player, if I went one more player, it would be Dejounte Murray. That would be the next player I would want the Knicks to go after. Let me break down a few reasons why before we go down to the reports explaining why he could be available. Number one, fit. Dejounte Murray in the backcourt with Jalen Brunson. This season, I don't know if you guys are watching Hawks basketball. I was. Before the All-Star break, Dejounte Murray was terrible. You see how I had admitted that? You see how I was honest? This is why you can listen to me when I say this next half. After All-Star break, Dejounte Murray went off, found his game. And you know what he proved to me? He can make other players better. He can make them elevate their game. Now, some of you guys are going to point to his defensive numbers with the Hawks. Here's what I'm going to say about that. Where does he play? He plays for the Hawks. Who plays defense on the Hawks? Even Clint Capella doesn't play defense, uses his big body for offensive rebounds and nothing else. So what do you want him to do? You want him to eject his defensive intensity into that entire organization. Defense is not done by just one player. Do you think the Knicks, if just one person played defense, they would be that defensive team that they were? It doesn't work like that. Defense is a team game. You have to communicate. You have to talk. Dejounte, when he was with San Antonio, he was a top-level defender for a reason. He was in the right system. He was the right player for that system. The Knicks actually right now have the right fit for Dejounte, because if Brunson wants to go to the bench and you want to stabilize that unit and not have to worry about Brunson rushing back, you have another all-star to control everything in Dejounte Murray. He gives you that. Not only that, he can shoot the three. He has his own shot. He can create his own shot. He has a mid-range game. He can go into the paint and create as well, too. Do I need to continue? Dejounte and this Knicks team fits. And if you don't think his defense is good, do you think under Tom Thibodeau, his defense wouldn't get back to where it was? His defense wouldn't get better? Dejounte under Tom Thibodeau is a match made in heaven. It's not exactly the same as Drew Holiday and Thibs, but it's a close second. And I'll take that because that's what you need. That's how you improve the roster, guys. I understand the love affair with Dante DiVincenzo, but we can also admit during the couple of games in the playoffs, he wasn't hot. He wasn't hitting threes. He wasn't having an impact. We can admit that, right? And it's not taking anything away from Dante and what he gave the Knicks. He still had a breakout year. He was still great. I'm not trying to take anything away from what he's done, but we have to admit, certain games in the playoffs, he wasn't there. And if he came off the bench during the playoffs, maybe he would have been there. Maybe he would have gave us more offense. And if we had Dejounte, maybe things are a little bit different. All I'm trying to say is nothing this season proved to me that Dante DiVincenzo should be the starting two for this Knicks team. If we get a better two, he should obviously go to the bench and Dejounte Murray should start. Dejounte versus Dante. Easily, it's going to be Dejounte Murray winning because that, in my opinion, is the right move for the Knicks. You add that piece to your backcourt. You have an all-star backcourt. You have one that can play defense at an elite level, one that can play and score with the best of them at an elite level. What does that give you in the Eastern Conference? You're telling me that's not one of the best backcourt duos in the entire Eastern Conference? In the entire NBA? You have defense and offense. And Dejounte Murray can give you offense as well, too. I don't understand anybody that would hate this move from the Knicks. But before we get to all of these things about the Knicks, them potentially going after him, why they would have interest in him, let's first go to Bill Simmons and his report on the Hawks and potentially why Dejounte Murray will be available this offseason. According to Bill Simmons, on a recent episode of his podcast, Simmons noted that there's buzz around the NBA that the Hawks could end up trading both Murray and Young this summer and blow up their roster. Now, some people seem to think both of those guys are getting traded. And if this is the thing that he's heard from different people, so it's not like he heard it from one person or two people. It sounds like multiple people have told him this. And according to them, from different people that I don't know each other, excuse me, wait, I got to read that again. From different people that don't know each other, there you go, who know things, they said the Hawks are, just like you know, what we've got the number one pick. This didn't work. We got to the conference finals that one time. Let's just try to blow it up. That's what Bill Simmons had to say about the Atlanta Hawks potentially blowing it up this offseason. Now, that's one thing. But you know me. If I read a report, I like to get a number of NBA insiders talking about it. I like to have multiple sources. And thankfully, we do have multiple sources here. We got Bill Simmons who mentions it, but we also have Fred Katz who mentions this as well, too. The Hawks fielded offers for Murray leading up to this past winter's trade deadline, but they couldn't find one worth executing. During that time, though, they spoke with the Knicks, and the two sides never got close to an agreement. Part of Murray's appeal to New York, though, was flippability. The Knicks could trade for Murray at the deadline and then include him in another deal for a star this summer or next season. Now, the potential for doing that is still available because we don't know yet which star potentially the Knicks are going to go after. If we guys remember exactly what Ian Begley was stating, he reported that the Knicks are waiting for that star to emerge. That means all the players that we're hearing about right now, let's say they are available for a trade. That means the Knicks are not looking to go after them because according to Begley, the player that they're looking for, they haven't emerged yet. They're still waiting for that player. It's likely that player is going to be a superstar. In my opinion, it likely is a superstar. It probably is Devin Booker. I am hoping and praying it's not Karl-Anthony Towns, because if it's Cat, it would break my heart so much because I don't like Cat. I don't like the fit. I've said it a number of times. He gets paid like a superstar and doesn't show up like a superstar. So there is no way, no chance that I would do it for him. So I hope that's not the star that they're waiting to emerge. I hope it's Booker or Mikal. But apart from those two, if we could also get potentially Dejounte Murray, I'm going in for him. I would definitely put in some chips on the table to get Dejounte Murray on this roster. For every reason I just said, the fit is there. And of course, if the cost makes sense, you know Leon Rose is going to jump at the opportunity. And I want to mention as well, too, that Fred Katz mentioned that the Knicks were one of the teams that wanted to go after Murray before the February trade deadline. That's your interest right there. So don't tell me if Murray wasn't available this offseason, the Knicks wouldn't pick up that phone and try to get him on this roster. Of course they would do that. They want to do that. They want Murray on this team. The reason they tried to get him last year was not only because of his flippability, because of course that makes sense. There's a fit there as well. That's why they want him too. He's a former All-Star. We have to remember, he gives us so many positives. A lot of people are talking about Dejounte like he's a role player, like he's on Dante DiVincenzo's level. That's not the case at all. He's better than DiVincenzo. He's a former All-Star. And if he came to this team, he would help us so much. He solves so many problems. I just don't understand why so many Knicks fans are against this move. It doesn't make sense to me. But let's keep it going here. Talking about offers potentially. Where's that? Talking about offers potentially. According to Fred Katz here, it's not like the Hawks would just give away Murray. So we have to remember that. Even if the Hawks wanted to trade Dejounte Murray this offseason, they're not looking to give him away for free. They're going to want something back significantly. And that's the only hiccup here because we're talking about Leon Rose. And when we talk about Leon Rose, one thing is absolute. He is not going to overpay for anybody. He is going to pay a fair price. And if he can't pay a fair price, then he's going to try to get a steal. If none of those things are on the table, he's walking away. That's always what he does. And according to Fred Katz here, according to what he's saying here from people he knows and sources he speaks to, the Hawks, who traded multiple unprotected first-round picks for Murray a couple of years ago, they would want a real trade package back. So again, what is a real trade package going to consist of for Dejounte Murray? For me, I don't know what that's going to be. Last time, I remember, I think it was around the February trade deadline, our trade package at the time, if it worked out to be this way, was supposed to be Emmanuel Quickley and 2 first-round picks. No idea if they were protected, unprotected, one unprotected, or one protected, however it worked out to be. I don't care about that. I just cared about getting Dejounte for a fair price. If that was on the table still, I would do it. But then that begs the question, if we did that same trade again, who would be the young player that I would switch out for Emmanuel Quickley? You guys know who I'm going to talk about. You guys are going to write it in the comments right now. Deuce. I love Deuce. Love him. But if I get Dejounte Murray on this team for 2 first-round picks and Dejounte Murray comes on this team and I got to replace Deuce with Dante, I'm doing that every day. I'm doing it every day of the week because, again, moving forward, that's going to help this Knicks team. It's going to make us a better team. Now, I'm not going to voluntarily give up Deuce. I don't want to give away Deuce. I want to keep Deuce at all costs. Look at what he just did this season. In my opinion, after he got the contract and more playing time, he started to show out. He was hitting threes. We started to see that defense. He is amazing. Very good player. But if I can get an all-star back for him, like Dejounte, I don't know how anybody could question it. Why would anybody question it? We have to make sure we're talking about the same things here. Dejounte Murray, Deuce McBride. Hold on. Dejounte Murray, Deuce McBride. Come on. If that's the trade on the table, you have to take it. And I think the Knicks would absolutely do it if that's the case, because they still have the same flippability that they could have before. Get this. If they don't get that star they want this offseason, and they're still waiting to the trade deadline of next season to do it, and they get Dejounte this offseason, couldn't they do the same thing again? Couldn't they have Dejounte for the same reason to do the same thing again? Because exactly that, if it doesn't work out, like it, let's say, I'm not saying it wouldn't, but let's say it doesn't work out between Jalen Brunson and Dejounte Murray. If that happens, then that means potentially you could flip him and you could get maybe some assets back, some significant players back. You could get something back that helps your team moving forward. It's not going to be a complete rebuild if you lose Dejounte. That's what I'm talking about. You're adding players with value. And because of that, this Knicks team is going to get better. But I see you guys in the chat. You are yelling at me with the Dejounte Murray stuff right now. I'm going to get to your comments in a second. But again, just to wrap this up, if Dejounte is available, the Knicks owe it to everybody in the New York Knicks organization, every fan, to pick up that phone and see what they could get him for. Because he is worth 2 first-rounders. He might be even worth 3 first-rounders. That's how highly I think of him. The fit is there. And if you don't think it's there, you're lying to yourself. In my opinion, that's what you're doing. Let's get to the comments and see what you guys have to say. See, I got my guy Dej in here. Shout out to King Dej. He says, salute, recap. Hit that thumbs up for your boy. Appreciate you, my brother. Let's keep it going here. Let's see. White Lotus says, fly, Mitch, fly. I guess White Lotus agrees with me. He wants Mitch to get out of here. I agree with him. Let's keep the comments going here. Angel says, I would not mind if we stay with what we have. Healthy, this team can go all the way. Get OG and iHeart, and we are good. I disagree just a little bit. And I might get killed in the comments for this, but I don't mind. If a healthy Knicks team went up against a healthy Boston Celtics team this year in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think the Knicks would have made it competitive. Maybe it went 6 games, maybe it went 7 games, but it's not a guarantee that the Knicks would win. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to have more guarantees in my life. So because of that, I'm going to add players that are going to support that. For me, a Dejounte Murray is definitely a player I look at because he supports that build. Other players for draft, if I'm looking to draft the player and move on from Mitchell Robinson, the only reason I would do that is because I want to control my flexibility. I don't want to commit $30 million to 2 centers. If I can draft the center to back up iHeart, I'd rather do that than pay Mitchell Robinson close to $14 million next season. That doesn't make sense to me. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate your comment, Angel. Let's keep it going here. Joel Joseph says, almost all the players you're saying won't come to the Knicks. Just wait for the trade instead of posting theories about it. Listen, you're talking about theories. It's not only theories you're talking about. These are reports coming out here. We're talking about insiders that each of us, all of us follow each and every single day during the season. This is not from every single random Bleacher Report writer. We're talking about Bill Simmons, who is an NBA insider himself, has a lot of known sources. We have Fred Katz, who is a Knicks insider reporting this. I understand talking about theories and all of that, but we're talking about things that people around the league are starting to talk about, starting to state. So these are how things get started. These are how trades get done. These reports are out there because of that. And sometimes, as you guys may know, teams sometimes will push out a report to see what traction it gets. How many teams will bite that, pick up the phone and see, hey, I now know this guy is available. Let me see if I can get him for something. That's another reason why these reports are out. And that's another reason why we talk about it. Still appreciate your comment, though. Let's keep it going here. Rock says, at this time, Murray makes the most sense. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. He makes the most sense, and he does fit. Backcourt with Jalen Brunson, check. Defense, check. Brunson gets a rest, and he can stabilize the offense in the process, check. Everything points to the fact that the Knicks should do it. The only thing that would stop the Knicks is the cost. And if Atlanta is not looking to ask for too much in a trade back for Dejounte, which unfortunately they're likely going to ask for a lot because they unfortunately gave up a lot to get Dejounte on their team. They thought it was going to work. It didn't. They took a risk. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but now they need to bite the bullet and trade him for a little bit less. If they take his cost down just a little bit, maybe instead of four first-rounders, they ask for 3 first-rounders and maybe a young player or maybe another contract that matches. So that way they have flexibility moving forward because they want to rebuild. That's what the Knicks can give them. And hopefully that's what the offer is. If that's the case, Leon is getting Dejounte. That's it. He might make some other moves. He might get some other bench pieces. He might draft some other bench pieces, get some other role players, get that vet minimum sorted out, all of those things. But the star, if he gets Dejounte, that will be checked off. I don't care what you want to say. He may not be Devin. He may not be Bakel, but his fit is likely on the same level as those two guys. And I'll go on record to say that. That's how good I believe a Dejounte and Brunson backcourt could be. But maybe I'm wrong. If I'm crazy, let me know in the comments, my guys. Let's keep it going here. More comments before we go to the next topic. Max, let me see the comment name again. Max says, hi, I love you. I love you too. Appreciate your comment. We got Brandon here with some hundreds. Appreciate you, my guy, Brandon. Let's see. I want to get some new people here. Finesse J says, I agree. Murray on the Knicks would be a huge win, but not if we keep Randall. Too many ball-dominant players. All right, listen. The Julius Randle hate has got to stop just a little bit because Julius Randle this year proved something to me. We're not going to stick on this too long. I want to get to some of these comments at the end of the show. But Julius Randle, for me, proved this year he can take a step back. Jalen Brunson went off, right? Julius Randle went off, but Jalen went off for a little bit of a different reason. We saw this team become his team, and we saw this team become this team while Randle was playing with him. He was clear the number 2 right behind Jalen Brunson. There's not any, well, maybe we can think about it. Well, I'm not sure. No. Julius was the clear number 2. If that's the case, that means he shows you he can make sacrifices if it means the Knicks are going to win. So if he can do that with Jalen, he can do that with Dejounte. And even if Dejounte came to this team, I wouldn't want him as the second best player. He wouldn't be the second best player. He'd be the third best player. But think about that. Dejounte Murray is your third best player on your team. That's why you do the move, because that sounds ridiculous. And Dejounte is a pass maker. He's a playmaker. He can create. So he'll find Juju. He'll find Brunson going down the paint, driving into the paint. And Brunson will find him. Randle will find him. We got to remember, they don't just pass and keep the ball. They pass and then pass back. They pass to each other. Passing is a game. They go all around the court with it. That's what I want the Knicks to do. And if you get another ball handler, another playmaker like Dejounte, that ball will never stick. It will start to move a lot more. You say that Dejounte needs the ball in his hands. He does. But to create, to help others, he did that with the Hawks. You're telling me he can't do that with the Knicks? He absolutely can, and he can do it with Randle part of this team. I'm not trying to trade Randle away and trying to keep Dejounte Murray like that. If the Hawks asked me for Randle and they said, yeah, we'll take Randle and you get Dejounte, I would laugh and then hang up the phone. There is no planet that exists that I would ever make a move like that. Randle stays. Randle only leaves for Giannis. That's it. Well, let's go on to the next report here because it actually goes into what we're talking about. But before we get to that, we actually have a super chat from Fernando. And you know how I got to go with the super chats. They're always prioritized. So I see every comment, but if you want to get your comment prioritized, definitely use that super chat button. It definitely supports the show. Fernando says, what is Mitchell Robinson worth knowing his injury problems? That's a good question. Like I said, the Knicks are likely going to try to sell him based on what he did during the beginning of the year. Because during the beginning of the year, what was he? Almost a top-level defender in the NBA. Maybe all NBA defense. We could start talking about that at some point, but his block shots, the fear that he puts into defenders. If you have an offense already set and you need a high-level defender that can come in, that can get you rebounds, that can do all the things that some of these contending teams are missing, the Lakers being one of them, the Grizzlies being one of them, then that's exactly what he can solve. That's why you notice a lot of these mock trades have Mitchell Robinson being sent where? To Memphis, because they have a need for offensive rebounding. And when healthy, he's an offensive rebounding juggernaut. I'm not going to sell a team anything about his injury history. I'm going to try not to even mention it. What I'm going to try to do is just sell him the beginning of the season, what he can do when healthy, and what type of game changer he is in terms of on defense. That's all I'm going to do. But I appreciate your comment, Fernando. Thank you so much for the super chat. If you want to get that super chat in as well, remember, there's a little heart button with a $ in it. You hit that super chat, you make a donation to the show, and then you get your question asked, and I'll answer it right away as soon as I see it pop up on my screen. For the other comments, as you guys know, I get to them as soon as I can. And at the end of the show, we're going to get to that, basically a live chat portion where I interact with you guys directly, read your comments, and answer all your questions. But like I said, before we got that super chat from Fernando, and I really appreciate you, I want to go to the next topic here. And that next topic is absolutely the other stars that are being linked to the Knicks. Because as of right now, the Knicks are listed as betting favorites to land 2 All-Stars. 2 All-Stars they are betting favorites for. You guys want to know who I'm talking about? I bet you guys do. It's going to be, well, that's the wrong slide. Let me get the right slide. You guys will see it. It's going to be Jarrett Allen and Kevin Durant. That's right. According to Bet Online, and shout out to Knicks Muse on the app X for giving us the following information as well too. But according to Bet Online, they know that if Jarrett Allen or Kevin Durant were to leave their respective teams, so Allen with Cleveland and Durant with the Suns, the Knicks are on the list in terms of having a chance to land them. For Jarrett Allen, the Knicks lead it at plus 400 to land Allen. And in terms of Kevin Durant, they have the 3rd best odds to land Durant if he leaves. Durant could potentially go back to the Thunder or the Heat as well too as other favorites if he leaves the Suns to go to a different destination. But this for me is absolutely insane. You're telling me that the 2 players right now that are linked to the Knicks are Jarrett Allen, somebody that we trumped, destroyed in the playoffs, and then Kevin Durant, somebody who spurned us when he could have chose New York in terms of the Knicks. But where did he go? He went all the way to where? The other side, Brooklyn. And you know what? He hasn't ever been the same since. He actually's become maybe a little bit of a worse player since he's joined Brooklyn. And I don't know about his legacy, but I think it took a hit as soon as it went to Brooklyn. But that's a whole different story for a different day. Let's focus on the names here. We first had Jarrett Allen. Now, Jarrett Allen is an interesting name to watch. As we know in Cleveland, the things that are happening right now in Cleveland are absolutely insane. We're talking about, we don't know the roster that they're potentially going to have next season. Donovan Mitchell, it's rumored that he's likely going to resign, but is he? There was a report from Udonis Haslem that basically said he does not believe that Donovan wants to stay in Cleveland. He wants to leave Cleveland. He doesn't want to be there. So if you have that report and potentially him not signing that extension, if he doesn't do that, he's going to be on the move. That's something to watch. Darius Garland and his camp, they said if Mitchell remains, he's going to possibly ask for a trade. He's going to want to leave. Then Jarrett Allen, frustrations with him, probably stemming from the playoffs where he didn't show up. He didn't show out. Then you're talking about, do you want to trade for him? Let me say this about Jarrett Allen. If he did what he did with the Cavs on the Knicks, he would have been booed out of the building. The entire community would have dumped on him. And I don't know how he would have been able to recover. And that's just a fact. And I'm not out here trying to say if you're an NBA player and you're injured, you should go ahead and try to play all these games, multiple games. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying, though, is if you have an injury and the way it was described is it was not that severe, he could have played through it, but he chose not to. That's a little different for me. That's telling me that you're making a choice that you could do it. You could play through it, but you're choosing not to do that. And that for me is a little bit of a problem. Do you want a player like that on this team? He's also big. He's making a lot of money. I know he's an all-star. I know he has an offensive game. I know he can block shots. But we're just about to pay Isaiah Hartenstein $17.5 million. You want to trade for Allen, and then I'm not even going to wonder what a trade for Allen's going to look like because I don't think it's even possible. But even if you got Allen, what does he do for this team? Does he put us over the top? Is he the missing piece? Is he the final piece? No. So if he's not the missing piece, he's not the final piece, then why would we trade for him? Why would we give up significant assets to get him on this roster? Because if we make a major move this year and we give up significant assets for the wrong player, there's no way we're going to get that back. It's going to take us years to get that back. And by the time we do, who knows the roster we're going to have? Our window is now. Our window to win and compete and be a contender is now. This is where it is. Leon Rose knows that. The Knicks front office knows that. That's why they're going to make major moves this offseason. It's going to start on draft night. It's basically started already with the news about Mitchell Robinson potentially being traded to a different team. And then we obviously have these reports from BetOnline stating that the Knicks are favorites for 2 All-Stars. That's the thing we have to remember here. Keep that in mind. Take away the player. All the reports have been consistent about one thing. They have been linking All-Stars to the Knicks. Why? Because the Knicks are in the market for an All-Star. That's why we have to talk about these things. That's what we have to remember here. But Jared Allen is not the right All-Star to go after. In my opinion, he is not the right player to have because Jared Allen on this team, he's not a game changer. He doesn't do anything better than I think iHeart would do. Maybe some more putback dunks, maybe. He's a little bit stronger, but he still gets injured. That doesn't matter to me. So no to Jared Allen. I'm off on that, and I do not want to make that move. So next, we have Kevin Durant. Now, I made a number of videos on Kevin Durant already. I talked about this with my last guest, Mark Berman. We talked about a lot of different things, and Kevin Durant obviously came up. Now, during that conversation, Berman basically told me that he would like to trade for Kevin Durant. He stated basically that Kevin Durant would be a player that he would trade Julius Randle for. Now, I didn't agree, but I understood where he was coming from because a lot of fans in the fan base do not want to see Julius Randle part of the team anymore. They rather see Kevin Durant. And I get it. I understand. You'd rather see KD. You'd rather see another All-Star. If your prerogative is to trade Randle, we can talk about that later in a different video, maybe a different time. But let's just talk about the player, Kevin Durant. Skill set, check. Fit, check. Is he, in terms of skill set and the player that we need, the right fit, the right player that the Knicks should trade for? In my opinion, yes, he is. Why? Because the Knicks are one of the key players that we have to talk about here today. Give me a second, guys. Just want to make sure things are still working properly here. 1 second. It's having some technical difficulties here. Okay, never mind that. All right, sorry about that, guys. A little technical difficulty there. My mic just went on the fritz, went out, went in again. You know how it goes when you're live, but we're back. But we're talking about KD. And with Kevin Durant, one of the main things that we have to understand here is that KD, Kevin Durant, in terms of fit, he does fit this Knicks team. In terms of skill set, he does fit us. But he does not, in terms of age, fit this timeline anymore. Because if he came to this team, sure, he can make his mid-ranges. Sure, he can make his three-point shots. That thing doesn't leave you. His skill set in terms of making those shots, they're never going to go away. He is that type of player. He's always been good like that. He's always been an assassin. He's always been lethal. So Kevin Durant will likely fit any team, not only the Knicks, but the assets you have to give up to get KD. And then there's no guarantee he's going to be happy in New York again. Maybe he requests a trade. If he requests a trade and he leaves New York, what happens then? Where do you go from there? You just gave up assets for KD. Now you have less assets to work with, and he's requesting a trade. He is too much of a question mark. He's good. He's great. And when he's available and he's committed. He's one of the best in the league. But there's too many question marks with KD, too much of an injury history there. He's getting older as well, too. And the fit, trading Randall and all of the picks, I can't do it. I can't justify a move like that at this point in time because I don't know how KD's going to feel in a year or two. And if he leaves the Knicks in a year or two, I don't think the trade will be worth it. You might think 1 year of KD could mean a championship. 1 year KD and the Suns didn't meet a championship. What did it do for them? And they have Devin Booker on their squad. We have Jalen Brunson here, sure. But we're talking about trading Julius Randle for KD. That means your duo is going to be KD and Brunson. What did KD and Booker do? And I would say that Devin Booker is a better player than Jalen Brunson is. And they didn't get it done. They didn't get anything done. So you think that him coming to the East again, him playing for the Knicks is going to do anything different? In my opinion, it would not do anything like that. I think the Knicks would probably think it would work a lot better than it actually would. And I think it would fall on its face a lot faster than most of you guys would believe. If it was a cheap deal, something that I could potentially understand, maybe it would make sense that I don't have to break up my core. Of course I would do it. Of course I'd want to add KD if I didn't have to give up too much or break up Julius, Jalen, or OG. But that's not realistic. That's why I don't care what the odd makers say. I don't want KD on this team because I think, in my opinion, that ship has sailed. He's too old right now. The assets wouldn't make sense. But that's my opinion on it, guys. I want to hear your opinion. I want to know what you guys have to think about it. Would you still trade for KD at this point in time? Because according to BetOnline, our odds for getting him, we are the third best team in terms of odds to landing KD if he leaves the Suns. But again, leaves the Suns is very funny. That owner is holding the big three hostage. Well, Bradley Beal can't be held hostage because he can't be traded. He's holding the Suns hostage. But other than that, the KD and Devin Booker with Phoenix right now, they can't leave. The Suns are trying to build around them. Why they're trying to build around them, I will never, ever know. Because it didn't work this year. They clearly can't build around them. They don't have enough money, enough assets, enough of anything to build around them the right way. They need to trade one of their core pieces to get assets back and do it again. But since they're not going to do that and they're committed to the big three, talking about KD and a potential trade for KD and him coming to the Knicks or any team for that matter, it just really doesn't make sense at this point in time. But let me know in the comments, do you think that KD would be a good fit for this Knicks team? And should the Knicks trade for him? Let's go to your comments because you guys have been going off. Let's see here. Let's go to Britain, who says, it used to be a hard no on Kevin Durant, him being 35 years old. So about 3 to 4 more real years in the gas tank and him just not being a chemistry to the team type of player. He says no. I'm going to say no. Well, thank you. I agree because I just said it. KD, all-star, superstar, great player. We can all admit that. But we can also admit at this stage of his career, while he can still do some things great, too many question marks with him. I'm good on KD, but I appreciate your comment. Let's see. I think that's Cody. Cody says, iHeart is still the best all-around center, and he's already here. I don't know best all-around center in terms of the East. I would definitely not say that. I think that's Joel Embiid or a lot of other players if we're talking about total NBA. But if you're talking about Jared Allen versus Isaiah Hartenstein, then yeah, there's no question. Which player would I want? I would want iHeart, not only because he costs less, but also his chemistry with this team, it's already there. We've seen it. And his passing is very good with this Knicks team. Jalen Brunson has already chemistry with them in terms of a pick and roll game. And if he can get a pick and pop game added to his entire repertoire of what he does when he's out there with the Knicks, he's going to be even more dangerous. I think that's something he's going to add to this game this offseason. We're going to have to wait and see. But I agree with your point there. If you're talking just about Allen versus iHeart, in my opinion, iHeart is a better fit for this Knicks team. Let's keep it going here. Want to get to some different people. Let's see here. Lenny says, thank you, KD, not leading anybody, to be honest. Appreciate you, brother. James Lee says, Nets are... James! You guys remember James. If you guys don't know James, James is, I guess, a fellow subscriber who subscribed to the channel, but he's a Nets fan. And sometimes he will join the live and he will talk about the Nets. So please forgive him in the chat. Don't kill him too hard. You can kill him a little bit, though, because he's in a Knicks environment. So, of course, he's going to get killed just a little bit. But don't kill him too much. He does mean well, but there's no chance in anywhere that anybody believes that the Nets are better than the Knicks right now. Right now, this town where I'm in New York, by the way, Queens, shout out to you, Queens. Everybody in Queens, shout out to you as well. But the Knicks run New York. The Knicks run New York. They've always really run New York, but they run it even more now. But shout out to you, James. Appreciate you, brother. Let's keep it going. Let's see other comments that we have here. Uncle Mo says, heck no. I'm guessing he's talking about KD. I agree with that. And then Soul says, I don't want Mitchell Robinson. Please trade that man. Too injury prone and not reliable. Not reliable in terms of offense in today's big man, and he doesn't shoot threes. And also FKD. Well, I like the way you ended that, and I also like the way you began that, because Mitchell Robinson, I do agree. Mitchell Robinson has lived out his time with the Knicks. I said it to start the show. We started the show off with breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, with Mitchell Robinson potentially being up for a trade, because according to Jake Fisher, if you missed it, the Knicks are fielding offers right now. They're calling teams, and they're considering trading Mitchell Robinson, potentially for a player, maybe to move up in the draft, maybe for an all-star. We don't know exactly yet, but we know that's the situation that's going on right now. And if the Knicks did that, wouldn't have any problem with it, in my opinion. I agree with you. Like I said, it's time to let him go. Mitch has served his time. He served his purpose. He did what he needed to do. But I've seen it enough times to know Mitchell Robinson needs to go. We've had enough. Bye-bye. Later, Mitch. We got to trade you to a different team so we can continue to get better and move forward. Like your comment, and I appreciate you, my brother. Nelly Nee says, no KD. Maybe Brandon Ingram. Brandon. Oh. Oh. Brandon Ingram. Message to everybody. I am good on Brandon Ingram. Costs too much. Doesn't do enough. Needs the ball in his hands. And if you even want to sell me that I could have him and Randall together, sorry. Nasty. No way. No way. No thanks. No how. I'm good on Ingram. I am good on Ingram. There's no way. He doesn't fit this team. He does not fit this team. He does not fit this team. Period. Done. No thanks. Appreciate you, though. Appreciate your comment. I'm not mad. I'm just extremely hype and excited about your question because I'm so against it, because I do not want Ingram here. I'm allergic, if you couldn't tell, to Ingram joining this team. I'm good on that. That's why when I saw the Pelicans situation there with the Knicks talking to the Pelicans and potentially trading with them, I'm thinking about every single player besides Brandon Ingram. Let's keep your comments going here. Last comment before we go to the coach, because we want to go to the newest assistant coach in Mo Cheeks. We're going to get to that potential next topic right after these next comments here. Jamie Lee says, we also have Noah Clowney, future star. That's what James Lee said over here. Hold up. Let me see. James is still talking. My goodness. White Lotus says, James, the Nets were better when they had Dr. J. Man, it's going to keep coming with the hate. I appreciate you guys. I know you guys are going to kill him just a little bit. Let's keep it going here. One last comment. Cody says, Ingram doesn't have that dog in him. I agree. And Angel Ramos says, Robinson clumsy. I absolutely agree. Trade him. Yes, absolutely agree. Trade him. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic that we have here. because it's something that a lot of people haven't been talking about. It didn't get too much attention during the time it happened. That's probably because during this particular time, everybody's waiting for the star trade. But for me, I actually liked it. The Knicks actually made a key addition to their coaching staff, and they added a very, very good former player and somebody that has a lot of knowledge of the game, a lot of repertoire with Tom Thibodeau, with Worldwide Wes, with this Knicks front office, and everybody involved. And he's a guy that used to be a former Knick as well. You might know who I'm talking about here. We're talking about Mo Cheeks. Shout out to Mo Cheeks. Shout out to Adrian Wojnarowski as well, too, on the app X for giving us the following information as well, too. According to Woj, the Knicks are planning, and they did plan, and they hired already, Maurice Cheeks, also known as Mo Cheeks, as an assistant to Tom Thibodeau's coaching staff. By the way, the fact that they did this, for everybody who believed that Tom Thibodeau wasn't going to get extended, wasn't long-term in terms of the head coach for the Knicks, those can all be put to bed right now. They are bringing somebody on that has a relationship with Mo Cheeks. That's the reason they're doing, relationship with Tom Thibodeau. They are bringing on somebody that has a real special relationship with Tom Thibodeau. You only do that if you want to support the coach. Tom Thibodeau is here to stay, and he's here to stay for a very long time. Let's continue with the reports here, though. According to Woj, though, Mo Cheeks is a Hall of Fame guard. He has been a 3-time head coach in the NBA and most recently on Billy Donovan's staff in Chicago and Oklahoma City. Bagley continues here by stating, regarding the Knicks, adding Maurice Cheeks to the coaching staff, it doesn't mean that any assistant is actually leaving. The Knicks don't need to make room for Mo Cheeks to be part of this actual group. And that's the best part. That doesn't mean that Johnny Bryant is leaving or all these other things are happening. They just wanted another great, amazing basketball mind on the bench. And now they have one with Mo Cheeks. Another thing we have to mention here is that Cheeks is an addition to the staff that is currently in place. So that means that he could be rotated on the bench who sits with Tom Thibodeau, because they have a lot of players, a lot of assistant coaches on the Knicks, but I don't think each and every one of them can sit when they're playing games. I believe maybe only 3 or 4 can sit with Thibodeau. So if that's the case, you might see Mo Cheeks more games than not headed into next season, and you have to love that. We also should go ahead and mention this next part here, because according to New York Basketball, they got this from the NBA Sports Chicago Tribune. They stated the following: Knicks' new assistant Mo Cheeks initially decided to move off of his role with the Bulls off the bench, and he wanted to actually stay with the Bulls. But the reason that he didn't is because he has family in the New York area, and the Knicks made him a very strong offer. Cheeks and Thibs, both assistants in Philadelphia during 1994 and 1996. So I think that's very interesting to talk about here, because when we're talking about Mo Cheeks, former Knick, then we're talking about a player that coached with Tom Thibodeau before. We're also talking about somebody that has experience in this game, not taken away from any other assistant that's doing anything right now, but clearly Mo Cheeks coming to this team is a benefit. It's a win for this team. You just added a great basketball mind. You added somebody that can work with these players. These players trust him. He's a veteran. He used to be a head coach. Positive. When this happened, I think everybody, mostly Knicks fans, were saying, well, Johnny Bryant's gone. This doesn't move the needle, Knicks. We need an all-star. We need a superstar. What does that have to do with anything? What does Johnny Bryant, what does superstars, what does star trades have to do with congratulating a man that is now back with the Knicks as an assistant coach, who's now back home, who can now contribute, who can help us get better, make us better each and every game that we play? You don't think he's going to be at practice? You don't think he's going to be somebody Thibs trust? Every single season, Knicks fans tell me we should have people on the bench that Tom Thibodeau actually listens to and trusts. Now the Knicks are bringing in Mo Cheeks, somebody that legitimately fits that role to a T. And people have a problem with it. People don't like it. People are talking about Johnny Bryant. I'm so happy that Ian Bagley mentioned that no Knicks assistant head coach has any worry, any problem. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be retained. Johnny Bryant, he's going to be kept. That means we keep him. everything he adds to the Knicks and his basketball mind. Very happy about that. He might be the Knicks' next head coach if Tom Thibodeau hangs it up at some point in time. I'm talking about Johnny Bryant. But until then, he's likely going to remain the Knicks assistant coach. And then when we're going to Mo Cheeks, he gives the Knicks that basketball experience in the playoffs as well, too. He gives the Knicks also some information about potentially what the Bulls might be doing, because he left the situation right now that the Bulls are exploding. We saw recently Alex Caruso, he left. He went to OKC, and they got back in return Josh Giddey. It's likely that Lonzo Ball, he's going to leave. Zach LaVine, he's going to leave. Mo, he already left. And Mo came to where? New York, right? I'm not saying everybody in Chicago is going to follow him, but you never know. He did have some fans in Chicago. He definitely was respected in Chicago. There's a reason he wanted to stay there, because the players liked him. And if the players liked him and they don't like their situation, maybe they want to follow him too. That's another reason you add people like this. They give you so many benefits on multiple levels. He helps you with experience. He helps you with coaching. He's going to make this team better and more prepared. And potentially anybody that likes him, that likes his style, that likes what he does, that likes the way he speaks to players, they're going to want to come here. They're going to want to join the Knicks. It also speaks to another thing, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks are attractive again. The Knicks are a place you want to come to again, whether that's as a coach, as a player, as an assistant. It doesn't matter who you are. If you want to come to this Knicks team, you are more than welcome if you can have an impact and you can contribute. But the Knicks, they're not trying to add anybody anymore. People are lining up to join us. Let me give that to you again, because once we were a laughingstock and now we are a legit contender. We have people who could stay in their situation, maybe go to better situations, that want to join this franchise because of what we're building, the culture that we have, and what we're contributing to. This is what this assistant coach hire says to me. This is what it tells me. And it also tells me that other players around the league are watching the Knicks. They're watching our moves, and they're watching what we're doing this offseason. Because everybody knows, it's not a secret, we have all the assets available to make a major move happen this offseason. We're going to make that trade. I believe in Leon Rose. I trust in him. I know he's going to get that major deal done. We're waiting to see who that star is going to be, what star is going to emerge. We're going to have to wait a little bit. It's going to take a little bit of time. But don't worry. As a famous singer once said, be happy. The Knicks are in the best position that they've been in years. When's the last time we had a competent front office? When's the last time we've had this many first-round picks that we own and that we own from other teams? We have the contracts to trade. We have the players to trade. And if we make those moves, we're still in the best position in terms of a team that we've been in maybe in 20 years? 20 plus years? When's the last time we could say something like that? The Knicks are building this right now thanks to Leon Rose. He didn't waste all of this patience to bring us to this point, to waste this opportunity. Why get us here? Why do all of the things he did this past season? Get us to this specific point, to waste it on the wrong player, to waste it on the wrong star, to waste it on somebody who doesn't fit. Don't tell Leon he has to rush to make a move. Don't tell Leon he has to trade for a player right now. No, this is what you do. Sit back, relax, maybe have a drink, maybe smoke if you're into that, and calm down. We have OG Anunoby, right? One of the best wings in the league, right? Leon got us that. Nobody thought he could do it, but he did. Let him continue to work his magic. I'm going to let him tell me who he's going to go after. I'm also going to let him work that magic and get that player on this team. I don't got to worry about anything. The Knicks are attractive again. We have a superstar in Jalen Brunson, and we have a leader in the front office in Leon Rose. All of those things combined means a superstar, or at least an all-star, is coming to the Knicks this offseason. And it all starts on draft night. It might have started already with Mitchell Robinson and that news coming out. But Mo Cheeks, shout out to him. He is going to be a benefit. He is going to be a positive. I am so happy that he's part of this Knicks organization, and I have nothing but praise for him. If you like the addition as well, too, leave some comments in the chat. Hit those like buttons as well, too. But remember, if you're watching this live right now, like I see some of you guys are, or you're watching as part of the replay gang, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you guys wanting to grow this channel each and every day. We're this close, guys. We're this close from 15,000 subscribers. I pinched myself the other day. Could not believe my eyes. I hit 13,000, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, and I was still riding that high. Close to 14, then going to 15. I can't do that without you guys. I can't do that without your support. So before we get to the comments, and we will get to the comments, I promise you, we're going to take your questions. We're going to answer any topics you want to talk about. Mitchell Robinson, this NBA insider, this report. We're also going to be looking at Twitter and seeing some updates they have there and talking about that as well, too, as we're live. But again, before we get to any of that, thank you guys again for your support. It's overwhelming at times. I see the comments everywhere on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. It's hard to get back to all you guys. I do try my best, though, because I am editing all the time or talking to different people, different guests. I'm trying to get different people that you guys like and know on the show. So hopefully that happens in the next week or two. I am preparing. Not going to mention any names, but I do have a couple of special guests lined up, and they have a lot of great information. But I don't do that for any reason besides the fact that I want to give back to the community. I want to give back to you guys. And I'm also curious as well, too. Just like you guys, I'm a fan, and I love being a fan of this team. And I want to ask the questions that only the fans want to know. And sometimes you need a fan in order to do that. And I'm so happy to be part of that community and part of that content creator group that actually does that. And that you guys support it, it means everything to me. So thank you so much for that. But let's go ahead and get to your comments in the chat. And we're going to go ahead and start off the live chat portion of this show, which basically means you leave comments in the chat. We're going to get to each and every single one of them. And if it's a comment that I feel very strongly about, you might get a special rant. You might get a special rant from Recap. And that's very special because not a lot of people can get that. Somebody earlier got it about Brandon Ingram. I don't know who else is going to get one, but shout out to that person. Chat gang, you're alive and well. I appreciate you. Let's see what you guys have for me. We got some laughing emojis here. I'm guessing that's at James because he's talking about Dorian Finney-Smith. Oh, man, James, you are down so bad, brother. The Nets are down so bad. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my. Imagine coming to a Knicks live stream and your one comeback starts with Dorian Finney-Smith. DFS. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's keep it going. Soul says, BI is literally inconsistent and smokes too much weed. No and hell no to BI again. Keep that curse away from our Knicks. Yes, I agree. That's a good comment. Keep him away. Keep Brandon Ingram away. He uses the ball too much. He needs the ball in his hands to be impactful. Without the ball in his hands, he can't do anything. He doesn't move well. And he gets frustrated quite often. You guys remember Team USA? He was one of the players that called the camp, right? Crying and upset. Why was he upset? Oh, yeah, I know why. He was upset because he wasn't playing. He wasn't getting touches. He wasn't able to do his game. You think that's going to be any different when he comes here and he's playing maybe with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson? No. That's not going to change. It might get worse. He'll cry even more. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm good on Brandon Ingram. I agree with you, brother. Appreciate you, Soul. We got a super chat from Rock. Let's see here. Oh, well, Rock doesn't have a... You have a question, Rock? Trying to see what the super chat is here. I think Rock just didn't give a super chat. He just supported. Well, Rock, I appreciate your super chat, brother. Thank you so much. I don't see a question from you, but I'm going to go to your comments. I think that's the best thing I can do since I don't see a question from you. But I really appreciate that super chat. It really helps the show. Thank you so much again. If you want to get your comment prioritized, either when I'm doing the lives like this or I'm doing lives with special guests, that hit that button with the heart in it. It's called, I believe, a live support or support live. You hit that button and then you're able to donate to the show and ask your question. It's a great way to support the show and everything I have going on for you guys. But let's go to Rock's comments here because I know you asked some comments and I want to make sure I get that over to you. Let's see here. Rock, where you at, Rock? Looking for your comment, brother. Oh, there you go, right there. It's hot in New York City, rumors swirling. Let our front office work and be grateful for Troy/recap breaking down all the valid news. Rock, man, first of all, Rock just helped me out with a $10 donation. Again, every single dollar counts. I appreciate to you guys because that helps the show. But I appreciate you, Rock, and thank you so much for that. You guys help me do this show. You guys make me want to do this show. So it's not a show without you guys, your support, and you always coming in, supporting me, giving me the live topics to talk about, making sure that all these videos get so many views, showing out in droves. Again, you guys are why I do this. So I really support that, and I really support you guys as well. And Rock, man, thank you so much, not only for your contributions, but also for being a longtime supporter and your great comment. I try to give you guys the best news, the best content daily. I know some people don't like each and every video that I do. Some people think that it's a quote unquote clickbait. I don't try to create those videos, but sometimes it comes off like that because that's what the report is. And I try to cover the report. And if you listen, I always try to give you my honest opinion and my honest reaction to it. So there's a video about Jimmy Butler. But for me, Jimmy Butler, I don't want him on this team. I don't think the Knicks are going to trade for him, but that's the reports everywhere right now. So because of that, I'm talking about it because it's spread everywhere. So to control it and make sure nobody's hearing any wrong information, I cover it to let you guys know, yeah, the Knicks are talking about this, but it's not like they're going to trade for Jimmy Butler. He's not the star that they want. If anything, they're waiting for the star to emerge. He hasn't emerged yet. So Jimmy Butler being the quote unquote player that they're interested in, interest doesn't mean trade. Interest means I want to do research to me. When they talk about, yeah, I'm ready now to make a trade, like that Mitchell Robinson report that we covered to start the show, then we'll start talking about it. But that's a good point. I appreciate you, Rock. Let's keep it going here. Got some more people in the chat. Let's see here. Who do we have here? Let's see. Everybody is Halloween says, the reason that they got Mo is to help the Knicks inbound the ball, which they had trouble doing in the Pacers series. Man, oh man, what a great point. I'm pinning that. You, my friend, just got a pinned comment. Once this, I can't do it right now, unfortunately. It's always some technical difficulties coming up here, but every day I am pinning your comment once I'm done with this stream. That is an extremely good point. You guys remember the Indiana series? Inbounding the ball was such a problem because of Indiana's ball pressure. They put it on us full court, and then when we were trying to inbound the ball, it wouldn't ever happen. Nobody was free, and if they got free, somebody else would jump toward the ball. They would make different adjustments. It was terrible. So Mo coming in and helping with that, I absolutely agree, number one. I think that's true, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But it's also multifunctional. It's a multi-level thing. You do that because he helps your team now, in the future, and other players you're bringing along. Let me ask you this. If you're going to draft rookies, would you want a Mo Cheeks on your bench? Would you want him trying to develop those rookies as well, too? Get them more in terms of an offensive game, like we're talking about for all of the New York Knicks under Tom Thibodeau? Because if that's the case, that's what you're going to get. And Tom Thibodeau is going to give you that. So I think that's part of the move as well, too. Very, very good comment. Love the comment every day. I'm pinning it, like I said, once the chat is over. When the live is over. But again, very good point. I didn't mention that when I was talking about Mo. Inbounding for the Knicks has been a nightmare. Improving that, it's definitely going to help. Let's see, who do we got? See the name here. Eclipse. I'm going blind. I need glasses, man. Eclipse. They need to trade Mitchell Robinson. He's going to fumble. He's going to fumble any moment. You know what? Yes, absolutely agree. He makes another comment. He's a role player. He's a role player. Say that to you again. Eclipse says, once again, they need to trade Mitchell Robinson. He's going to fumble at any moment, and he's a role player. Right now, he is. He's on the bench. He's not a starter anymore, so he's definitely a role player. He's a role player getting paid $14 million. $14 million. We pay iHeart 17.5. That means, 72.5. That means we're paying him roughly around, what, $17 million a season? Around that? Close to that? So what does that mean then? That means that the Knicks are going to wrap up, let's see here, around $30 million in two centers? It doesn't make sense if you're improving the team. You can't be near the second apron. You don't even want to be a first apron team. You want to be away from that. Money has to do with it a lot as well, too. And if the Knicks want to avoid any type of issues and not limit themselves when they go out there for a trade, then they have to make sure they trade other players that are just not useful anymore for this team. Mitchell Robinson is not useful anymore for this team. Let's break down that report from Jake Fisher, because I know some of you guys didn't join the live stream immediately, so I want to break down that report again. Jake Fisher again stated, Hartenstein at this moment is now generally expected to return to New York, as the Knicks have contacted opposing teams about moving Mitchell Robinson. There appears to be a wide range of starting caliber big men available for trade this offseason. It's important to know that, because, again, you have Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein's another name, not for trade, obviously, but potentially he's available. Jonas Valanciunas, Nick Claxton from Brooklyn. There's a lot of players potentially that could be gone from their franchises. The Knicks are obviously going to look around different players around the league, see who's available. But in terms of Isaiah Hartenstein, after what he did this year, his impact, helping the Knicks get to the number 2 seed, I don't think there's any question at all that he's going to be re-signed. The only news right now is what the Knicks are going to do after they re-sign him. And hopefully he does re-sign for the max that the Knicks can give him, which again is 4 years, $72.5 million. That's what I want the Knicks to do. It's going to be a question mark, though, because we don't know if another team's going to come over the Knicks' head and offer iHeart a little bit more money. But according to the recent reports that we covered yesterday in yesterday's video for iHeart, you didn't check that video out yet, please go ahead and do so. But in that video, we basically covered that he prefers a long-term contract. And if he prefers a long-term contract, the Knicks are going to prioritize him. And they're going to make sure that they give him that 4 years. And even though 4 years, 72 is not the same amount of money, if it's 80 for 2 years or 80 for 3 years, whatever OKC wants to add to him, it's still longer. And because it's longer, gives you more security. Isaiah Hartenstein's always wanted that. And he always wanted a home. With the Clippers, he wanted to make sure that he would sign for less and stay with them. But that didn't happen. And because of that, the Knicks picked up the ball, and now they have iHeart. Now iHeart's in the same situation that he was with the Clippers with the Knicks. But the Knicks are not going to treat iHeart the same way the Clippers did. They're going to do it a little bit differently. They're not only going to bring him back, but they're going to make sure that once he's brought back, he's going to be starting and having an impact. That's what I'm talking about in terms of a raise. You get paid more and you start. You keep your starting job. That is a promotion. That's what I want to see. And I think absolutely with the reports that we're seeing here, Mitchell Robinson days as a New York Knick, they're numbered. He's gone. He has to go. It's not even, when you're thinking about not even cost aside, you want the Knicks to get better, right? You want the Knicks to make a trade, right? You want the Knicks to be better each and every year. To do that, you have to get away from players that are making a lot of money and don't have the same impact. Mitchell Robinson is that player. He gets traded this offseason. I don't know who that player yet is going to be, though. That's the question mark. Who are the Knicks going to trade him for? Lakers? Memphis? Then you have the Pelicans. Those are the teams on the table right now. I just really don't know between those teams who the Knicks could potentially target on their roster that they would want back for Mitchell Robinson. I'm thinking about the Lakers. I don't know who they would even want to be available that they would feel comfortable trading Robinson for. So right now, it's all a question mark. But the one guarantee for me, after hearing this report, is that the Knicks are already active in trades. We have less than a week to go before draft night, and we are about to see more fireworks. The Knicks are making a move. It is June 21st, and the Knicks are already trying to trade Mitchell Robinson. I can't wait to see what happens on June 26th. Draft night is going to be insane. Let's go to the comments here. What do we got? We got State. SNY, my guy State. He's always asking for the link. My guy, brother, this is a live stream where you get to interact with me in the chat. I get to talk with you guys back to back. It's not via StreamYard, which I know that's what you use. And you use that to do that roundtable. And I appreciate you. That's your setup. And I know you love it. And I love the fact that you have it. I love the fact that was part of your show. Shout out to my guy State. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to his channel. He's on YouTube as well, too. You can see him in the chat. Just click on his name and subscribe to his channel. He drops a lot of good content as well, too. So shout out to my brother. But we do things a little bit differently. I will be doing that content creator type of live chat that you do with a different creator at some point in time, hopefully next week. I can't reveal too much, but just believe a lot more live streams are coming, and there's going to be a lot more people that I'm talking to in those live chats. But I appreciate you, my brother. Let's keep it going here. Let's see here. All right. Rock says, Knicks really don't have a viable big contract to trade. They really don't, but if you include Bogey and you include Mitch, it makes up the difference quite a bit. And again, I don't know if you were here during the time we covered it, but as stated by Ian Bagley here, the reason the Knicks would even trade Mitchell Robinson is because the contract that he has, it's good enough to utilize with another player. So you can utilize his contract, take Bogey. I hope it's not Deuce, but depending on the star player, maybe Deuce, a couple of your protected picks. Then you see if you have to include your unprotected picks. Then you use all of that and you see what the star is that you can get back. I think that gets you back a legit star. If not a legit star, an all-star, maybe a very, very good, impactful player, but definitely something significant. I think the Knicks are going to be calling around the league this weekend going into this Monday. And maybe after this weekend, we see the Knicks announce a major move. I'm not predicting anything, but it's Friday right now, and the Knicks are talking about trading Mitchell Robinson. That means over the weekend, those calls are going to continue. What happens after talks happen on the weekend? We all find out about it that following week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those potential days, you're likely going to hear a report about the Knicks either making a trade or even doubling down more on the fact that they're looking to move multiple players in a trade. I absolutely believe it because right now, the Knicks are in that position to do so. Let's keep it going here. Who else do we have in the chat? I want to go to some new people. Kevin Holly says, we need DeRozan on this team. Interesting. IU says, iHeart and Mitch are great buddies too. I definitely understand that. iHeart plus Mitch equals 31 million. They're like an Embiid together. I'm fine with it. An Embiid together though, bro. Like Embiid together, you have to get two players to equal one. I'm good. I don't want to do that. I know his defense is great, man, but I just don't see it. Let's keep going to these comments. I will get to more or less all of them at some point in time. David M says, Mitch can fetch another good rotational player or a pick or two. Yeah, maybe a good impactful player. If you're talking about Mitch himself, maybe a good impactful player and then a role player or maybe an impactful player and a role player or an impactful player and a first. I don't know if you get 2 firsts for Mitchell Robinson. I think that's a little bit high, honestly. 2 firsts for Mitch right now, given his injury history. I don't think that makes sense, but definitely a first-round pick and an impactful player. I think that might be the ceiling for Mitchell Robinson right now. But if you include a Bogey, if you include a Deuce, what does that do? Maybe it changes it. Let's keep it going here. Nostalgia Nick says, Randall is 30 million. All injury guys are being traded. Knicks only have a small window to win. Let's see here. He continues. Mitch out. I don't know if you're saying you want to trade. Well, Nostalgia Nick says recap. I don't know if you're starting to say you want to trade Randall, though. That's one thing. Let me know, Nostalgia Nick, if you want to trade Randall. That's the one thing I'm not clear about. But I agree with what you're saying, though, in terms of injury-prone players. I think the Knicks are absolutely looking to trade away players that don't have an impact anymore. And I think that if you're looking at this team, Mitchell Robinson, when healthy, has an impact. But when he's not, and he's not available, and he's recovering from injury, he's not doing anything. And the Knicks have already had a number of seasons where they've seen that enough. It's not worth it anymore. It's time to say goodbye. Mitchell Robinson's likely leaving. The other star that they're going to get, again, I'm not sure who that player is going to be. I hope it's a good star. I hope it's an all-star. If they could swing an all-star for Mitchell Robinson and Bojan and Deuce, I'm cool with it. I'll absolutely do that. Oh, let's see. Great Bitten says I missed his super chat. Let me see. Oh, my bad, brother. I didn't see you. Let me go back to your super chat. It must have happened in between all the other super chats, my brother. Let me go ahead and get to you here. Before I get to the other comments, I want to respect the super chats. He says, in Leon we trust. I'm just ready for him to go after the last Infinity Stone. How do you feel, Troy, if Leon offered Mikal Bridges' mom a job to get him? You've been asked this question quite a bit, Britton. I'll give you some time on this. So, Mikal Bridges is not available. He's likely not going to be available because the Nets don't want to trade anything for him. Sean Marks is holding him hostage. And until that situation changes, he is not going to change. I wish he was available. He is a great fit. I've done, 10, 15 videos maybe on him right now, suggesting the fact that the Knicks need to do whatever it takes to get Mikal on this team. In terms of skill set and fit, I think I've said it before. It's Mikal, Devin Booker, and Donovan Mitchell. That's my list. So I'm with you. If the Knicks can do anything in their power to try to get Mikal Bridges on this team, I would do it. But here's the thing. I don't think them signing Mikal Bridges' mom, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not with that, but if you're being serious, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't matter because, again, he's a hostage. If he wants to come to New York, let's get this out of the way. Mikal Bridges wants to be a New York Knick. That's not a secret. It's not a surprise. We all understand that. He just can't because Sean Marks will not trade him to the Knicks. No matter what the Knicks gave him, he would not trade him. Remember the recent report that just came out? The Nets said no to, I think, three or four first-round picks. 3 or 4 first-round picks. By the way, he's not worth 3 or 4 first-round picks, especially when you have to consider you're going to have to include another star in the mix there. I'm not including Julius Randle and 4 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges to come here. No thanks. There's no shot. I probably wouldn't even include a couple of players and 4 first-round picks over to the Brooklyn Nets to get Mikal. If maybe I could give you 3 protected picks and 1 pick that's not protected, maybe I do it because I don't have a problem giving away protected picks. What are we going to use them for anyways? But I am not giving away my picks, my unprotected picks to try to get Mikal Bridges just because I really want him here. Just because the Knicks really want a player doesn't mean they have to jump at any opportunity to get that player on this team because it has to be for the right cost. Overpaying for Bridges could hurt the Knicks as well, too. If you overpay for a star, no matter who that star is, it could still hurt you at the end because it doesn't mean that it's going to work right away. It could take a season or 2 before it starts working, and you have to remember that. So the Knicks being cautious and making sure if they were to make a Mikal Bridges trade, they wouldn't overpay for him, but they would give up significant assets. I think that's important. That tells me that they realize that Mikal is a final piece for their team, but even though that's the case, there's a limit. There's even a limit for final pieces. And Leon Rose implementing that, I love it. There never used to be a limit. There always used to be, oh, that's what you want? Let me think about it for an hour. Okay, there you go. I'll take it now. That's what it used to be. I remember James Dolan back in the day, always getting involved. I remember those days so clearly. And right now, it's paradise. We are not dealing with any of those things. Even if Mikal Bridges was available, Leon Rose wouldn't give up the farm to get him. And speaking as a long-suffering Knicks fan, I actually respect that because it sets a precedent. It sets something that says, you know what? This is the line, and I'm not crossing it. No matter what you want to do, no matter who's available, I'm not going past it because I have respect for myself, my organization, and what I'm trying to build. It's a truth, and it's a truth we have to admit to ourselves. Appreciate your super chat. As I said, super chats are that little heart button in the actual, underneath the video for you guys. If you hit that button, you're able to donate to the show. It really does help the show and what we're trying to do. And you get to ask your question, and that question gets to be prioritized. So like Britain's question, I scrolled all the way up to get to it. Your question will be prioritized as well too. It's not like you have to do that though, because even if you don't, during this part of the show, when I'm doing the engagement with you guys, the live chat, it's always going to be about the first comment that I'm looking at. The only problem is I'm going to miss a handful of your comments because there's a ton of them. So I can't get to all of them. That's the only thing. It's only in terms of priority. But I appreciate you guys. Let's keep it going here. I was at Nostalgia Nick. And Nostalgia Nick was talking about things. I want to go back to your comment, though, about Randall. Because we were talking about that, and I asked you at the time, were you speaking about Randall in terms of trading him? And for you, you said Mitch, Bojan, and Mitch is all $60 million. I'm so happy you said that because that's music to my ears. Anybody that wants to split up the core of Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and OG Anunoby, it doesn't make sense because all of the people who want to do that can't give me a name back that makes sense to trade Randle for or to trade one of our core pieces for. That's why I don't even entertain it. Why I don't even look at it, because it makes me a little mad. I don't want to trade Randle at this point in time because there's not a realistic trade available for me to trade Randle for. So I'm not doing it. But appreciate you clarifying that you only meant a few players. And I agree. I agree with those players. Bojan, injury prone. Mitchell Robinson, injury prone. And if we're talking about, if we're talking about potential other players that you want to include, I'm okay with including Deuce McBride because I understand Deuce is a young player. And if you're going to help facilitate a trade, you're going to need young players. So I understand if that needs to be on the table for the right star. That's what I'm talking about. Nostalgia, man, I appreciate you. Great comments. Let's keep it going here. Let's see here. CM says, Rob, Brogdon. What is that? So I'm guessing he's saying Mitchell Robinson, Brogdon, 6 to 8 for PG-13. Do you mean 6 to 8 first round picks? That's why I had trouble reading it, because I couldn't believe it said 6 to 8 for PG-13. 1 year rental PG-13. What happens if PG-13 leaves after we make that trade? And what happens if the magical season he had last year doesn't repeat itself under Tom Thibodeau? PG-13? 6 to 8 first round picks? My entire war chest for Paul George? Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. Broken. Paul George's time to be a Knick should have been 3, 4, 5 years ago. Getting Paul George on this team now, it's ridiculous. As a fellow content creator of mine would say, it's absolute poppycock. There is no way, shout out to you, State, there is no way I would do that. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. I don't want him. I don't want PG. PG doesn't work. He doesn't fit anymore. He's too old. He can't play under Tom Thibodeau now either. Oh, thank you, man. Timmy Tam says, any chances we can trade our 2 first-round picks and move up in this year's draft? Very, very good question, Timmy. I appreciate you. We're actually going to spend some time on this comment, so I appreciate you asking it. So with the Knicks this year in the upcoming draft, so as you know, draft day is coming up. It is June 26th, and this year's draft is 2-day, 2-part special. Draft day part 1 for the first rounders is going to be on June 26th. The second rounders are on June 27th. Very good. First time this is happening. And with that, we actually get to appreciate the players just a little bit more. We get to appreciate the first rounders more and definitely get to appreciate the second rounders more. The thing with the second rounders as well, too, very important to mention this. With the second rounders, they can be signed to multiple year contracts now. That's probably music to Leon Rose's ear. And the Knicks have an early pick there, pick 38. And depending on things, if things don't work out well for some teams during the first round, and maybe a potential prospect in the first round falls to the second round, that 38 pick could become very, very important. So I would watch that pick as well, too. But a lot of the reports are already indicating that the Knicks are looking to trade their picks in this year's draft in order to get a star or a superstar, or maybe a very impactful player. Now, is there a scenario where they could trade the picks they have this year including that 38th pick, because in my opinion, it's very valuable as well too. All of those picks, Mitchell Robinson, Bojan Bogdanovic, and maybe another player, maybe Deuce or somebody like that, and then try to get another star or impactful player on this team. Yeah, I can absolutely see them doing that headed into draft night, and even on draft night, I can see them doing that as well too. It all depends on who the player is, the right fit, and also the overall cost for that type of player. The Knicks are not going to give up the farm or way too much for a player that they feel like doesn't move the needle. It's going to have to be significant. If you're asking me what I think the Knicks are going to do, the Knicks are going to draft the player with pick number 24, likely Ryan Dunn. The fit's there. Every single mock draft has Dunn falling to the Knicks, so it's likely that's going to be the pick. And then pick 25, it's going to be traded. Here's some breaking news. I haven't made a video about this. I was going to create another video about this, but I might as well just do it live with you guys. That 25th pick, I'm not saying it's the 25th pick, but one of the Knicks' first round picks. It's rumored that the Nets want to get one of those picks from the Knicks. Now, I know the Nets and the Knicks do not do business. And no, I'm not saying that just because the Nets won a late first round pick of the Knicks this year, it means that they're going to trade Mikal Bridges to the Knicks. That doesn't make sense either. But it could mean that they are okay with trading away some of the assets they have right now, maybe some key significant players, to give the Knicks in return for that pick. And if the Knicks have no other player that they want to draft, and they're likely not going to have any use for two young first round picks, they might do that trade. Now, are they going to trade that pick to Brooklyn? I don't know. You see, the thing is, unlike Sean Marks, our president, and really acting GM, because we don't have a GM right now, and Leon Rose, he doesn't act the same way that Sean Marks does. If there's a fair deal on the table, he's going to accept it. He'll take it if it makes sense. And the deal that likely is going to make sense to Leon Rose is taking that 25th pick and trading it for a future first round pick sometime down the line. Why do I say that? Because if you look at the history of Leon Rose in draft night, that's what he's basically done each and every year. So I don't really think it's going to leave us right now. In fact, in my opinion, it's actually become a Knicks tradition. If they have two first round picks in any draft, they likely keep one and they trade one back. If the player that they don't want is available, they likely trade both picks and move back again. But they're likely going to trade that 25th pick and they're going to draft another player at number 38 in the second round for a number of reasons. But for one main reason, I should say, one of the main reasons they would do it is because of the multi-year contract you can offer second round picks. That is everything. That's a game changer. That's the first time you can do that. And Leon Rose, this is how it sounds to Leon Rose. So you're telling me I can get an impactful rookie on this team and I can have him for multiple seasons and not have to pay him a lot, even if he gets really, really good? Cha-ching, that is value for players that you get on this team. And because he's a second round pick, he's not going to be really making that much money. The Knicks would love to do that. They're likely going to do that, and they're going to try to develop him like they did with Deuce McBride. There's going to be a lot of talent in this draft. A weak draft almost guarantees you a lot of good talent in the second round. The Knicks are going to try to find another gem. They are going to try to develop another player, and that's likely the player is going to go to the G League, go to Westchester, do what Miles McBride did until potentially he gets his call up and he can come back to the Knicks, join our team, and maybe go the Miles McBride route and join our team for the long run. It's all about the future. The Knicks can help everything right now if they draft the right players. They can develop the future and help us win now. Ryan Dunn, even though some of you guys are down on him, he absolutely 1,000% helps this Knicks team get better and makes us a win now team because of his defense. I see we have a super chat, so I want to get to the super chat that we have here. Shout out to Kevin Holly for giving us the super chat that we just got. According to Kevin, he says, I just don't want the Knicks to get snookered out of picks and a good player. I don't any over the hill. I don't want any over the hill player either. Shout out to you, Kevin. I really appreciate you, my brother. And thank you for the super chat. Like I said, guys, That super chat button is right underneath the video as you're watching right now. If you hit the little button with the heart and has a little $ in it, you can donate to the show. All those proceeds help the show and everything we're trying to build, but also it gets you prioritized, and I see your comment first, and I get to it first. And Kevin, again, very good question. I really appreciate it. Just getting back to it, the Knicks are not going to likely get snookered. Not with Leon Rose. If you look at the Knicks trade past with Leon, he's made a few mistakes, let's say. Let's call the Cam Reddish situation or experiment a mistake. He shouldn't have done it. And it didn't work. It wasn't the right player for Tom Thibodeau. There's so many different factors, but we can understand bad move, right? So we can tuck that away. He also signed Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. After we had a pretty good season, that was not the moves you needed to make. We probably should have made different moves, better moves to build on the momentum. We didn't do that. That's also a bad move. But if you're looking in terms of the Knicks getting quote unquote fleeced, that hasn't happened. The Knicks have not gotten fleeced in any trade that they've made under Leon Rose. If anything, the trades have even been fair or have been a bit shocking. Like getting OG Anunoby for RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and no first-round picks. And you're talking about dealing with the Raptors. Masai Ujiri. You're dealing with him, and you didn't have to give up a first-round pick. Sure, you had to give up an early second, but you didn't have to give up a first. That's important here because now you're set up right now to make the major trade that you wanted to make all along. Leon Rose has been setting up for that. He's not going to be taken advantage of or anything like that. If anything, he's looking to do that to another team. He wants to take advantage of another team and get their star at a significantly less cost. Leon is somebody that we can trust. He gave us OG Anunoby. We have all our first round picks. He got Bojan and he got Alec Burks. Both of them still help us. Bojan more than Burks because right now, once the Knicks pick up his option, because let's face it, they absolutely will, he's a trade piece. He's basically Evan Fournier. Only thing is, the Knicks can actually play him. So let's say the Knicks don't end up actually re-signing. Let me say this again. Let's say that the Knicks don't end up trading Bojan, but they keep Bojan Bogdanovic. If they keep Bojan Bogdanovic, they'll still play him, increase his value because he fits the Knicks and he fits what we're doing right now. He helps. He absolutely does. And if we trade him down the road, he helps with that too. That's why the Knicks, there's no issue at all for the Knicks going out there and making sure they guarantee him and get him on this team for next season if they can't trade him. I have no problem at all with the Knicks doing that. But I wanted to mention that because it's very, very, very important with Leon Rose right now. But he's not going to get snookered, fleeced, or anything. He is going to do the fleecing, and he's going to get us a star. Mark my words on that. But let's keep it going here. I appreciate the super chats. My guys, you guys have been incredible today. This is really all supporting the show. So thank you guys for all doing that. And also, all you guys in the chat already blowing it up. All your great comments that I haven't even gotten to all of them yet. Really appreciate you guys. If you guys really could do this for me, it would mean a lot. Smash that like button right now if you haven't done so. I want to try to get the likes up on this video as much as possible. Also, another thing you could do, if you're not subscribed, but you're watching, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on that notification bell because that's going to make sure you stay updated with everything that we have going on. The live streams, the current videos, the live clips that we always have coming out. So make sure that happens for you guys. It really does support the show. Thank you so much. But let's keep it going. I want to see what else we have here. More comments going here. Trilly says, well, you have a two-part comment here. Let's see. Where's Trilly? Looking for your first comment here, Trilly, because it sounds like you're mixed up here. Yeah, come up, and there's a different gem hiding. I'm guessing you're talking about the star. I agree with you. Yes, Trilly. In terms of a star, that gem hasn't really revealed itself yet. We're going to find that star player maybe during the draft. We can find it if we draft well. Maybe we can find that star player if we trade for the right player. You know, it depends on who's available and who's disgruntled. We have to kind of wait to see who's on that list. There's not an actual list. I know somebody made a comment that there's no disgruntled star list. There's not a legit list. But when I say list, I mean when you look around the league, you know just by looking that player is available for a trade. That's what I mean by disgruntled star list. But I appreciate your comments, man. Let's keep it going here. Long Island Sound says, listen, man, you just don't do nothing stupid at the very least. Run it back. Do not force anything. Let this thing be organic. Very, very good point. I agree to an extent. And I've always said this. Running it back for me means that I'm bringing back Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and of course, Dante DiVincenzo. That's what running it back means for me. Oh yeah, and Isaiah Hartenstein. That's what it means for me. If you're talking about Mitchell Robinson, Bojan Bogdanovic, Deuce McBride, some of these other key players, I don't mind if they get traded because I understand in order for the Knicks to get better, you have to make sacrifices. You have to make moves. You have to give to get a little bit. We didn't get here to look at all our picks and say, well, this looks like a really nice war chest of picks. I'm not going to do anything with that, but it looks nice. Why do we have all these picks? Why do we have them? Why do we need all of these picks if we're not going to make a major trade? And right now is the time to do it. Flexibility, ladies and gentlemen. Financial flexibility. How long are we going to have this roster in tow like this? How long are we going to have this roster together like this? Is it going to be a year? Is it going to be 2 years? Because Jalen Brunson is going to be owed some significant money. If it's not this offseason and he doesn't sign an extension with the Knicks this offseason and he waits till next offseason, he could potentially make a lot of money. I think it's $250 million. $250 million. He could potentially make that with the Knicks next year. That's a lot of money to leave if he signs an extension this year. That's why we're going to have to wait and see. But the Knicks' flexibility, in all honesty, really does depend on how their players resign. If they sign iHeart to a friendly deal, OG to a friendly deal, Jalen to an extremely friendly deal, another one, and then Julius Randle, that's another question mark. It's really going to help them moving forward because it's going to give them flexibility. You need that to add good players, role players, and other star players. If you limit your flexibility, you limit what you can do in this league. And with the new CBA regulations, with the fact that the second apron's there, the first apron's there, and you're limited in terms of moves you can make, regardless of if you're in any apron, you're just more limited once you're in the second. It's very dangerous right now for the Knicks to retain all of their players and try to keep this core together. It wouldn't make sense for the Knicks to do that because, again, right now in the modern NBA, things are changing. Their team is changing too. And you have to be honest. Thib runs a real 7 to 8 man rotation. The other players on your team, if they don't have an impact, they're not really available there because they can't play, they should be traded. So I think that's going to happen. You're going to see it. This offseason is going to be a very good one for the Knicks. I feel like you're going to see a lot of change, but draft night's going to be so important because I think you're going to see trades, but I also think you're going to see the Knicks do something I've been waiting for. Draft another impactful player. The last time they did that, I think really was maybe RJ Barrett? A significant player that you knew was going to get legit time. I want them to draft a player like that again. And if Dunn's available, he's going to be that player, ladies and gentlemen, because he just fits too well. It makes sense under Tom Thibodeau too much. So best believe that will happen. Let's keep going to your comments here. We have about a few minutes left. My son's bus has not alerted me yet. They've been having traffic issues for the last, I want to say, 2-3 days. So it looks like that's happening today. We were able to go 2 hours today, which I really like. If you guys like a 2-hour show better than an hour and a half show, let me know in the comments. If this time frame doesn't work for you and you want a better time frame, let me know that as well too. It's not like I'm going to stop doing it at this time, but maybe if I know you guys want a live stream at a different time, maybe I can make a different show at that time. Not this particular show, but maybe another one. It does help. Let me know in the comments though, guys. I really do appreciate it. We're going to keep it going here. Britton again with a super chat. Appreciate you, my brother. You have been very, very helpful today. All the super chats you've given me, I really do appreciate you, my brother. You say we have to fine tune the team. Look at Boston 100. Agree with you, my brother. Boston is a very good example of that. If you look at Boston and you look at what they've been doing, Boston not only has built through the draft, but they made the right trades. And even when they made the wrong ones, Kyrie Irving, they tried to recoup their assets and still try to make the right moves. And that's what you have to do as a franchise. You're not going to hit on everything that you do, But if you take a risk for the right players, sometimes, more times than often, it's going to work. And if it doesn't, you can often get some assets back or a significant player back or something back that you can use that makes you better moving forward. So that's what I think the Knicks have going forward to them right now. Great comment and great point. Boston is a good example to look at, but the Knicks are in a little bit of a different situation right now. They haven't been drafting the same way that Boston has. They don't have the same history. But right now, they're in one of the best positions they've ever been in. And if they make the right additions, one thing we can talk about Boston next season is going to be how the Knicks are dominating them. Yes, I said dominate them. Knicks make the right moves this offseason. They're dominating the Celtics and every NBA team moving forward next season. Let's keep it going here. More comments. James is still in here. My goodness. James, shout out to you, man. I appreciate the views and I appreciate you supporting. But my goodness, you just love taking a beating from everybody in here. Appreciate you, my brother, though. Great Bitten also says, so on coming home in 2026 in free agency. Free Mikal. Appreciate you. That's another super chat from you, my brother. Free Mikal is something that I'm going to say each and every single time that I can talk about the situation. He's been held hostage, man. I don't know what else to say about the guy. Rock says, Randall, much like any player, is in a contract year, coming off of an injury, watching his team do well this season. Pryor is going to have a monster year. Do not trade Randall. That last part, though. Do not trade Randall. He's 100% correct. Randall is going to go nuts next season. You guys remember what he did in his last contract year with the Knicks, right? Went off. And he's a better player now than he was then. He understands his game more now than he did then. What do you think is going to happen this upcoming season? Bully Ball Randall better be put on a t-shirt because he's destroying people in the league. If he's even stronger than he was last season and he's bulldozing his way in the league, nobody's stopping that man. Nobody's stopping him. And if he adds the mid-range to his game, so you're not stopping him. He adds the mid-range. He has a three-point shot, not a great three-point shot, but if he works on it just a little bit, might be a little bit better. He gives you the three-point shot, and he gives you all of the other intangibles that you can't really say he does when he's on the floor. He also makes sure he draws so many defenders near him. He gives you all of that. Julius Randle healthy, with motivation, and he wants to thrive, and he knows where this Knicks team was and where they could have been if he was healthy. You're dang right. He is going to be motivated. He is going to want to play, and he's going to have another great, sensational year. But a little bit of a double-edged sword. If that happens, the Knicks have to make a decision on extending him next season as well, too. So if he does have a monster year, that decision is going to be, do I extend Randall or do I utilize this monster year he just had and try to trade him away to a different team for a superstar? That's going to be the question the Knicks have to ask themselves. It's going to be very interesting, but I think this offseason, again, is going to be where you see the most moves happen that you've ever seen before from a Knicks organization. Maybe not since the Melo day or the Melo trade day. I think that's the last time I've seen the Knicks be as active as I think they're going to be this upcoming offseason. Well, this offseason. We're in it now because, again, Boston, as much as I hate to say it, are the NBA Finals champions. The Knicks will get there very soon. Our window is right now. Best believe that. Let's see here. I was looking at different things you got going on. Let's see. Other comments. Well, you have a few minutes left here. David says, do you think that OKC picking up Caruso is in any way related to an offer they might make to iHeart? Very good question. I like that question from you, David. This will be the last question of the day, and we will end it. So before I get to that question, let me just say thank you to everybody who joined the stream today, everybody in the live chat, everybody who participated for the super chats and retweeted the space during social media on X, on Instagram. All of you guys, all you supporters, without you guys, I don't have a show, and we're not doing this at all. So to you, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Let's keep it going. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. We are this close. Your support means everything. Let's keep it going and let's grow this. Let's get it all the way to 15 and beyond even that. But now, getting back to David's question. in regards to this particular trade that OKC made when they traded to get Alex Caruso on their roster and they gave up Josh Giddey. Is that related to iHeart in any way? I don't think so, but here's the thing. With them making that trade, you notice that they didn't have to include a first-round pick to get that trade done. That's actually insane because they still have a significant amount of cap. They still have a lot of trade assets, and they have a roster even better now that they can sell would-be free agents or other trade targets. That's what we have to understand here. This is what we have to know. The Knicks right now are in that position where if they want to make a move, they can make a move for anybody. But OKC is in the exact same position. And honestly, given where they were in the West and they did it in the Western Conference, they might be a little bit more attractive. The only difference is New York in our market, we're in New York. They're in OKC. Markets, it's no difference. But in terms of talent, in terms of youth, in terms of how far OKC could go over the years, OKC can sell anybody a lot. They can still offer iHeart, I think, $80 million over 2-3 years, whatever the number could be. So they could still offer iHeart a lot of money. But again, they don't want to commit to iHeart long term. There's a reason for that. Big men in this league, they get injured a lot. And if you commit to a long-term contract for a big man, how long is he going to live out that contract? Is it 2 years? Is it 4 years? Is it 1 year? We don't know. So because of that, they want to take a little bit more of a safe approach and give him a short-term deal, but worth a lot of money. But according to the recent reports that we've covered on this channel, he wants long-term security, long-term protection. That means only a few teams are going to be willing to give him that. And out of those teams, the Knicks not only have the amount to give him, $72.5 million over 4 years, but they also have a role to give him, starting center. And if he stays with the Knicks, his position here, we could go all the way to the NBA Finals. Other than OKC, no other team involved or want to get iHeart could offer him the same thing. No one, not a one. They could offer him money. They could offer him maybe the position, but they can't offer him the same goal. iHeart wants a home. He said it. He would have stayed with the Clippers and took less, even though he could have got more elsewhere. That's been reported a number of times. If that's the case, and he's in the same position now that he was with the Clippers a couple of years ago, he's going to make the same decision. iHeart is going to stay with the Knicks. He's going to stay here on a 4-year, $72.5 million contract, the longest and max deal the Knicks can give him right now. And he's going to be the starting center for the Knicks moving forward. That's it. Period. Done. No more. He is not going to go anywhere. And after what we're hearing right now, with Mitchell Robinson potentially being traded, there is no way iHeart is going anywhere. For me, this more or less confirms that iHeart is right now in the process of finalizing his contract with the Knicks, and we're going to hear it announced very, very soon. And in regards to OG Anunoby, it's going to take a little bit more time, but we're going to get there with OG as well, too. He's going to get re-signed as well. Once those guys are done, July 12th is the next day to look at and the next day to circle on your calendar, because that's when contract extensions can start. And Jalen, he's getting that contract extension. I hope he accepts it. I hope he takes it, but only time will tell regards to that. But that's going to do it for this episode. We're about to end this live stream. I have to say again, thank you so much to the live chat. You have been awesome. So much support. We got this stream up to almost, I think, 200 viewers at some point. That is a lot of love, especially when you have so many other content creators in the mix doing their own thing, going live themselves and releasing their own videos. You could have been anywhere in the world today, but you chose to dedicate your afternoon to me and this show. And I really do appreciate that. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace. Thanks for watching the live stream, guys. And I'm out of here.